I built a exact 1:400 scale replica of the Reykjavik Keflavik Airport, which is located in Iceland. Starting off the airport update, we have this Play Airlines Airbus A320neo. This aircraft will be pushing back shortly and getting fuel onto the aircraft, and it'll be heading out to Boston. Moving right along, we have this Play Airlines Airbus A321neo. This aircraft is currently pushing back and will be heading out to Paris, and then from Paris we'll head back to Keflavik. Following that, we have this brand new aircraft, which is the Icelandair 737 MAX 8 in the new livery. This aircraft will be pushing back shortly and will be heading out to Washington IAD. Moving on to the next aircraft, we have this United Airlines 757-200. This aircraft is currently in the new livery, as you can see, and it just arrived in from Newark. It'll be turning around shortly and heading back out to Newark in about 30 minutes time. Following that, we have this Icelandair 737 MAX 8 in the old livery. This aircraft will be departing for the flight out to Baltimore very shortly. Just giving some quick history about the Icelandic airport, which is known as the Reykjavik Keflavik Airport. Originally, the airport was built by the United States military during World War II as a replacement for a small British landing strip. After the war, the airport was closed. Then in 1951, the U.S. military returned to the airport under a defense agreement between Iceland and the U.S., which was signed on May 5, 1951. With the reestablishment of the military Air Force base at Keflavik during the 1950s, the air terminal found itself in the middle of a secure military zone. Travelers had to pass through military checkpoints to reach their flights until 1987, when the civilian terminal was relocated. The two 10,000-foot by 200-foot runways are large enough to support NASA's space shuttle, as well as the Antonov 225. Moving back onto the airport update, we have this gorgeous Icelandair 757-200. This aircraft is in the 80-year anniversary livery, very gorgeous as you can see. It's currently loading on the passengers and crew and will be heading out to Denver, Colorado. Next up, we have this gorgeous Delta 767-300 without the winglets. Delta Airlines did stop service to Keflavik for quite a while now, but they are resuming it. So this Delta 767 will be heading out to Minneapolis, St. Paul today. Really quick, I wanted to tell you guys where I get all of my aircraft models from, because many of you guys actually do ask how I can afford all of this and get all these models for super cheap. I actually do have a certain retailer that I use every time. I put the link in the description, is the Midwest Model Store. If you'd like to check them out, you can use code MileHigh Aviation in the checkout area and you can get a discount as well as a shout out on my YouTube channel. Next up, we have arguably one of the best liveries ever made in creation, which is the Icelandair 757-200 in the Hekla Aurora livery. Hekla Aurora actually has a specific meaning. The name came about as Hekla is a tradition Icelandic girl's name and the name of one of the volcanoes in Iceland. And Aurora is referring to the northern lights that brighten up the skies as you fly past Iceland. Anyways, this aircraft just arrived in from Boston. Moving right along, we have another very special livery that I love to see, which is the United Airlines 757-200. This aircraft is in the Her R-Tier livery. This is actually the California version. As you can see, it is very well designed. This aircraft will be pushing back shortly. As you can see, it is getting catered and will be heading out to New York JFK. Following that, we have this gorgeous British Airways Airbus A320. This aircraft is equipped with those gorgeous sharklets, as you can see. This aircraft just arrived in from London Heathrow about an hour ago and will be doing a turnaround flight back out there. Currently, British Airways is using the A320 and A321neo. Just holding short on the runway here, we have this Transavia 737-800. This aircraft is holding short, as it did mention, and it's getting ready to take off. This aircraft will be departing for the flight out to Amsterdam this evening. Transavia only has two routes out of Keflavik, which is to Amsterdam and to Paris, and they alternate each day. One day is to Amsterdam, the next is to Paris. Moving right along, we have this DHL cargo 737-800. It is pretty rare to see DHL cargo at Keflavik Airport, but this aircraft is currently turning off of the runway as it just arrived in from Leipzig, Germany. They usually operate the aircraft on the A330 or the 757, but unfortunately I do not have that aircraft with me. Moving on to the cargo section as well as the private jet section, we have this Icelandair cargo 757 freighter. This aircraft is loading on the pilots, as well as you can see it is loading on those brand new smoking Ferraris. This aircraft will be departing for the flight out to Copenhagen. Moving on to the private jet section, Keflavik does have a pretty small private jet section at the airport. It's only about 5 or 6 different spots where they can fly into. But here we have this gorgeous Global 6500. This aircraft will be departing for the flight out to South End. Moving further along on this awesome private jet section at Keflavik, we have this NetJet Falcon 7X. This just arrived in from Blackpool, and as you can see, it has all of the servicing trucks getting ready to push back, and it'll be heading back out to Blackpool. NetJets is a popular airline to see at Keflavik, and they do operate mini jets underneath that name. Since the US Air Force actually did use the airport back in the days, just like we were talking about, I did decide to include some Air Force. They actually still use it to this day. They fly the C-130s occasionally, this aircraft, but it is pretty rare. So here we have a US Air Force C-17 Globemaster. This aircraft just arrived in from Sigonella. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but it's a naval base in Italy, and it'll be heading back out to Sigonella today. That actually does wrap up today's airport update of the Keflavik International Airport. I hope you guys did enjoy. I am planning on adding way more detail to this and getting a bunch of new aircrafts that actually match up to this airport. This was just the very first kind of rough draft of the airport. I plan on getting some Wizz Air aircrafts, some more Play aircrafts, and hopefully some more Icelandair 757 aircrafts. And as I do more detail to this airport, I will be adding more detail onto the Denver International Airport. I have finished all of the terminals, as you can see, and I am now wrapping up all of the gate markings, and I am so excited to unveil it to you guys. So thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing, as it does help support me. Thank you.